Part 36. My Love Simulation with Them. Author, Chiudeo Udaziiwe. Chapter 352. I'm actually very happy that Matsusaka-san can say this. Nanzayongshi nodded, and then continued to explain why I didn't call the police. In front of Matsusaka Granu, he stretched out a finger, because there is no point in calling the police. That's right. There is no point in calling the police. Even if the police were called, the most Matsusaka Granu could do was break into a house without permission and attempt an attack. These two crimes are neither minor nor serious. In addition, the other party is still a minor who is just 16 years old this year. At most, they will just be sent to a juvenile detention center to receive education for a week or two, and they will be able to resume activities soon. This means nothing to Nangxiangshi. Instead of doing this meaningless thing, it would be safer to clarify the words directly and talk from the bottom of one's heart. Under the watchful eye of Matsusaka Sugar, Nangxiang stood up. He walked to the kitchen with light steps. In a crisp sound of iron tools knocking and colliding with each other. Matsusaka Granu saw it. Nangxiangshi held a dazzling silver kitchen knife in his hand. The other party held the kitchen knife firmly in his hand. Immediately he walked towards her step by step. This made Matsusaka Sato's pink eyes widen slightly at this moment. The pink-haired girl was not frightened by Nangxiangshi's actions. She has never been happy or sorrowful since she was a child, and she has actually never had the emotion of fear. She was just worried. If Nangxiangshi really kills himself, how should the other party dispose of her body? Nangxiangshi was the first boy who made her feel the feelings of joy and want to possess. She couldn't take her eyes off his figure. Therefore, she also didn't want the other party to be punished by law for killing a walking zombie like her. Chapter 251. You became her master. 4100 words. Matsusaka Sugar knows. She is just a zombie. I have never felt truly happy. Similarly, I have never felt the true feeling of regret for losing something. For her, I just live. Seeing others smile. He showed a catering smile. When you see others sad, you should show sadness appropriately. She had never laughed from the bottom of her heart, and naturally she had never cried because of sadness. Likewise, she didn't understand what the expressions of smile and sadness meant. But all this changed after meeting Nanxiang. I will sometimes feel happy from the bottom of my heart for Nangxiang. He also feels anxious because Nangxiang never focused his attention on himself. The self that was originally like a walking zombie is changing. Gradually, I can feel happiness that I have never felt or perceived before. But this happiness is a powerful poison for the girl to indulge in. With a blank slate, she feels happier because of someone. The more anxious you will feel because the other person does not turn his or her eyes towards you. There is a saying that is very good. People who can make you laugh may not make you cry, but people who can make you cry can definitely make you laugh. Nangxiangshi's cold attitude made Matsusaka Sato, who had never competed with others for something, feel extremely anxious in her heart. Although she had never owned it before, she was so afraid of losing it. Maybe this is love. For love, she can use any means, even if this means is far beyond ordinary people's understanding. So, the moment she saw Nangxiang walking towards her with a kitchen knife. Instead, the pink-haired girl felt extremely worried. When she was worried about Nangxiang. Because, if he is really killed by Nangxiangshi, how should the other party dispose of her body without leaving any trace? After all, I am a decent person. As long as it is killed, it will inevitably leave some kind of traces. Criminal investigation technology is now very advanced. Matsusaka Granis was worried that Nangxiang would not be able to dispose of his body properly and would eventually be arrested by the police. If that's the case, doesn't that mean she destroyed the thing she loved with her own hands? This was something she couldn't stand. It was hard to escape from the state of the Walking Dead. It's not easy to find someone you like. The result was that the other party was arrested by the police just because of something as trivial as being killed by the other party. No matter how you think about it, this is unreasonable, right? After all, why do the police care about this kind of thing? If it was Nang Xiangxi, she would actually be willing to be killed by the other party. Just like what was described in Edgar Allan Poe's Human Chair. An ugly young man who fell in love with a certain lady made himself into a chair just so that he could be with her. That's right. Her life, which is like a walking corpse, is insignificant. Compared to a young man with such a promising future in Nangxiang, it is not worth even half a penny. She stopped you from moving forward with the kitchen knife, and told you her concerns. She has never been afraid of death. She is worried about how you will avoid police arrest after she is killed by you. Therefore, she proposes to you that you can find a more hidden and safer place to attack her again. This way, you won't be at risk of police pursuit. She is also willing to die for you. Because her brain circuit is so strange, you were temporarily silent for a while. After a while, you couldn't help but shake your head and tell her that you never meant to kill her. The kitchen knife was only taken out because the rope tied to her body was too strong, and the scissors placed on the table were of no use at all. What are you talking about? After listening to Matsuzaka Granu's words, Nangxiang didn't react for a while. The one who also didn't react was Matsuzaka Sugar. She raised her head in surprise and looked at Nangxiang with some confusion. Senior Nangxiang, didn't you just want to kill me for breaking into your room and intending to attack you? Hiss. The pink-haired girl's expression was too natural, and her words felt natural. And because of her strange brain circuit, Nangxiang took a breath of cold air. Why did you think of that? Matsuzaka-san, he asked. Hey? Then why does Nangxiang Sr. want to take a knife? The rope tied to you is too strong. My small scissors are useless, so I might as well cut the rope with a knife. Nangxiangxi glanced sideways at Matsuzaka-sato. To put it bluntly, do you know that murder is illegal? Matsuzaka-san. Then he stretched out his finger, including your current act of breaking into a house with the intention of attacking others. These are also criminal acts. Do you understand? I understand, but for the sake of love, it is normal to use these methods, right? Nangxiangxi. He looked at Matsuzaka-sato, who said this in a normal tone. Nan Xiang found that there was no sign of lying in the calm look on the other party's face. In other words, as long as it's for the concept of love, this girl can really work hard, even if she does something that is not in line with the common sense of society. Nangxiang frowned. Although he has long known that Matsuzaka Sugar's emotions and common sense are different from ordinary people. But he never thought that the other person's common sense and emotions were so different from ordinary people. After a short communication, you notice the huge gap between the common sense and emotions of girls and ordinary people. She is a blank sheet of paper. There are no moral, legal, or conscience constraints looking down at the world with an extremely clear and clean gaze. Like clear and transparent water, if the sky reflecting her is dirty black, then she is dirty black. If the sky reflecting her is pure blue, then she is pure blue. If you leave the other party alone, the other party will probably continue to do something that goes beyond morality, law, and conscience. Faced with this situation, you decide. 1. You are her God, her master, her sky, everything about her. Let her body and mind be dyed with your color. 2. It is also an option to play with her pure white paper in the palm of your hand and wait until you get tired of playing with it before throwing it away. 3. It's too troublesome as expected. MS Yamada and MS Goto are better. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi Iway. Chapter 353. 4. Simulate in person. Nangxiangxi. Are all simulation paths so wild now? Are you her god, her master? Do you want Matsuzaka Sugar's body and mind to be dyed in his color? No. You'd better really be talking about color. The first option is outrageous, but the second option isn't weak either. Playing with applause. Throw it away when you get tired of it? What is the ultimate scumbag option? The third option is even more exaggerated. Not only did Ms. Yamada come out, this time she also brought Ms. Goto with her. Two-person route. Each of these three options seems less reliable than the last. But if Nang Xiangxi was given a choice, he would most likely choose one option. Because judging from one option, he is actually using him as a medium to influence Matsuzaka Sugar. Change her to clear and pure character. Let her dye it, I guess that's what it means. In this case, Nan Xiangxi stretched out his finger and selected an option. The clear water will change its color due to the reflection of the sky. You understand this deeply. So what you have to do next is very simple. You want to be the sky that can change her color. You want her body and mind to be affected by you and dyed with your color. In other words, you have to be her god, be everything to her, and make this overly innocent woman inseparable from your influence for the rest of her life. You loosened her from being tied up and expressed your thoughts simply. In simulation, memories emerge. With the help of the sharp edge of the kitchen knife, it didn't take Nango long to loosen the Matsuzaka Sugar. However, due to the inhalation of ether, her body was still limp and she couldn't lift any strength at all. Help her sit upright. Nang Xiangxi then spoke, Sangtang-san, you said it before. You like me, right? Right. Matsuzaka Sato did not hesitate and nodded straightforwardly. But it's just verbal expression. Anyone can do it, right? Nan Xiangxi squinted his beautiful eyes and seemed suspicious of her words. I can prove it. What's the proof? Nan Xiangxi sneered, just because you wanted to attack me today and then failed, can this kind of thing prove it? I won't do it again. Matsuzaka Sato shook his head. The personal education she received in Nangxiang made her understand the pain of those who were attacked. Naturally, she would never do such a thing to Nang Xiangxi again. But it's not that I don't want to believe you, but it's empty talk. Nan Xiangxi shook his head, his pure eyes shining softer and brighter than the moonlight shining brightly in the light. Regarding Nang Xiang's questioning attitude, the pink-haired girl who had no doubts about the definition of love simply raised her head and asked, What do you want me to do, Nang Xiang-senpai? Very good. Nang Xiang smiled, and then said, It's actually very simple for me to believe what Matsuzaka-san said. He came closer and said in a steady voice. From now on, Matsuzaka-san will unconditionally consider me and think about me. All ideas will be given priority to me, and all my opinions and wishes will be taken into consideration. He poured a glass of water and put it on the table. In other words, even if I am thirsty now and there is a glass of water in front of me, but I want Matsuzaka-san to run errands to buy me water, Matsuzaka-san cannot refuse me. Require. Speaking of this, Nang Xiangxi simply expressed his thoughts. In other words, from now on, I am Matsuzaka-san's master and your god, Matsuzaka-san, do you understand? Matsuzaka Sato tilted her head slightly. The girl with a blank personality was a little confused by Nang Xiangxi's words that contained two strong emotions. But Nang Xiangxi's attitude was particularly tough and clear at this moment. He said in turn, What's so great about it? Don't you love me? But Matsuzaka Sugar became more and more confused. But she is not as eloquent as she was in Nangxiang. I have no experience of being able to express my feelings. There's nothing wrong with that. Nan Xiangxi cheered up and said calmly, Since you like someone and fall in love with someone, then this is just a small thing. For Matsuzaka-san, it should be something that can be done casually, right? He didn't give Matsuzaka-Granu time to hesitate and think. If Matsuzaka-san is willing, then drink this glass of water. If not, then Matsuzaka-san, please don't approach me or get close to me again in the future, and leave after you recover. Nang Xiangxi pushed the water glass forward. Doesn't hesitate to state his thoughts. Then present a choice when the other party is hesitant. Humans are actually very simple creatures. When there is a choice in front of you, and Nang Xiang is the other party's only choice. So what decision Matsuzaka-Granu will make has already been decided. Under the watchful eye of Nang Xiangxi. With a somewhat doubtful expression, but for the sake of his own concept of love, Matsuzaka-Granu still reluctantly raised her palm and placed it on the water glass. Under the inducement of your words, she made a choice. She doesn't want to be isolated from you. But in fact, she is as innocent as the surface of the water, but she has never thought that there are actually big loopholes in what you said. The so-called relationship is not something that a person can deny unilaterally. Even if you don't want to see her again, she only needs to maintain a unilateral relationship with you, and there is nothing you can do to her. But under your sharp words, she subconsciously ignored this point. In fact, the so-called Yandere girls and girls with psychological problems are not difficult for you to deal with. Their behavioral logic is actually driven by their innermost thoughts. They are so simple that you only need to grasp their weaknesses and figure out their thoughts to be able to hold them in your hands. This is not difficult for you. But you actually don't like to use this method. After all, in your eyes, maintaining such a relationship with others is actually very twisted. But this time Matsuzaka-Sugar's situation is too special, and the actions you take can only be special and abnormal. Only in this way can it have an impact on her. At this point, the relationship between you and her is finally confirmed. From now on, you are everything to her mentally. You have become her master. After Matsuzaka-Sato's body recovered a little, you took her to the station yourself. For you, this is just a small thing that can be done casually. But for her, it is a big event that makes her feel happy and joyful. Although she is still a little confused about her relationship with you, at this moment, she seems to be a little glad that she made such a choice. As long as you can give her a little bit of love, she will be satisfied with her extremely longing for love. Because she originally had nothing. Her love is so humble. Chapter 252. Can I stay overnight? 4,500 words. It's really fun. In reality, Nang Xiangxi came back from the simulation and was amazed. I really had a lot of fun in the simulation. It completely fooled Matsuzaka-Sugar. He even deceived himself into becoming the other party's master. It's absolutely fine to say the previous sentence of CPU master. I can only say that it's still me in the simulation. It doesn't look like me at all. Nang Xiangxi sighed. It is really rare to find the world's most beautiful boy like me, who never fools others, who is extremely pure in mind and body, and has noble conduct. He sighed, then took a sip of water, ready to continue reading. But haven't looked past it yet. The sound of receiving information was heard. Nang Xiangxi looked at the message on his phone strangely. It was a message sent by Ichiri Goto. The content is also very simple. Probably dead. Ashi, can I stay overnight tonight? Stay overnight. Even though it's just a simple word. But Nang Xiangxi just pondered and immediately imagined 36 postures and 18 techniques in his mind. After all, when girls usually talk about staying overnight, it actually represents their acquiescence to something. But so be it. Nang Xiangxi is not the kind of person who indulges in desires, not to mention that he may continue to simulate Matsuzaka-Sugar tonight to find out the other person's character. Simulating other women in Ichiri Goto's arms. Is this appropriate? This is obviously inappropriate. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiu Dao Yu de Zi Wei. Chapter 354. I've said it before. Nang Xiangxi is not a person who indulges in desires. Regarding this temptation that is clearly in front of him, the attitude he wants to show is actually very obvious. The most beautiful boy in Tokyo, okay, just stay overnight. BB. Organize information. Edit text. Then send. It took about 3 seconds in Nangxiang. Obviously, this was a reply he came up with after careful consideration. After all, he hadn't been intimate with Ichiri Goto for a long time since the end of the band's efforts for the Jide Music Festival. To put it bluntly, this is not to satisfy his desires, but to satisfy Goto Ichisato's thought that he has not been close to him for a long time. In essence, he is still the most beautiful boy in the world with noble thoughts and moral character. That's right. That's it? Nangxiang nodded, and after replying to Goto Ichiri, he put his phone aside. The matter at Ely has been resolved, so let's continue the simulation. Nangxiang turned his gaze to the simulation interface in front of him and took a quick look. Because he didn't look down the simulator page, it stayed at the least progress. This is quite smart. Just click on the page. The simulation continues. You become her master. This is not just a verbal statement. You started to order her to run errands and buy lunch boxes from time to time. You would ask her to borrow money and make various unreasonable demands to her. She has no complaints about this, she just looks at you with a peaceful expression, observes you, and supports your life. She completes all your requests silently, and stands by your side, hoping to get your recognition and praise. In the simulation, memories begin to emerge. This time, 3 different memory scenes emerged in my mind. In reality, Nangxiang was stunned for a moment, and then his mind became immersed. Matsusaka-san, it's time to buy today's lunchbox, right? Hey? But, Senior Nangxiang, has another class. The pink-haired girl raised her head and looked at the black-haired young man in front of her with some hesitation. Matsusaka-kun, have you forgotten what you said before? Doesn't everything you said before count as nothing? Isn't this too irresponsible? You obviously promised others things but didn't keep them. The black-haired young man frowned and looked a little unhappy. No. No. Matsuzaka Sato put down the book in his hand, stood up slowly, and looked at the black-haired young man in front of him with his pink eyes. What's wrong? Is there anything else? The black-haired young man looked at her strangely. That, errand money. Matsuzaka Granis opened her mouth and reminded Nangxiang in front of her that he did not give her the money for running errands. Oh, it's about money. It doesn't matter. You can go buy something for me first. Aren't we good friends? I will pay you back this little money. Okay, I'll be there right away. Matsuzaka Sato had no doubts about Nangxiang's words. After nodding, he took direct steps. The first scene in my memory ends here. Then came the second memory scene. Matsusaka-san, I'm tight on money lately, can you lend me some money? Nangxiang looked at Matsuzaka Sato in front of him and spoke bluntly. With a calm expression on his face, he stretched out his palm in a generous manner. His appearance did not look like he was asking someone to borrow money. Instead, he felt like he was taking money from Matsuzaka Granu's pocket. Hey? Okay, I wonder how many Nangxiang-senpai need. Matsuzaka Granis blinked her pink eyes, asked with concern, and took out her wallet from her pocket. How much money do you have in your wallet? About 150,000 yen. The place where I work every day just paid my salary. Then give me your wallet. Okay. Subconsciously handing over the wallet. The pink-haired girl looked at Nangxiang helplessly as she opened her wallet and took out all 150,000 yen, leaving only 1 or 2,000 yen bills for her. The remaining 1 or 2,000 yen will be regarded as my paying you back the meal money I asked you to run errands for. Nang Xiangxi said casually as he counted the bills in his hand. His confident attitude would make a normal person stand next to him and find him ridiculous. Use Matsuzaka Sugar's money to pay her back. Anyone who sees this kind of operation will probably be shocked. But Matsuzaka Sugar is obviously not a normal person. She looked at the wallet in her hand and hesitated for a moment. Is it really okay? Is anything really okay? Leave me 1 or 2,000 yen, is that really okay? If Nangxiang Senpai really needs it urgently, why not just take it all? She came closer and suggested with a calm expression, I don't need so much money, I still have some bread at home that can be used for 3 meals. Huh? What are you talking about? Nangxiang glanced at her sideways. Am I the kind of devil who watches you eat bread for 3 meals a day? And isn't it normal for me to be in debt and repay the money? After saying that, he reached out and patted Matsuzaka Sato on the shoulder with a serious expression. I have been worried about Matsuzaka-san. You have to eat well, drink well, and take good care of your body. Do you understand? Then Nangxiangxi stretched, waved to Matsuzaka Granu behind him, and left directly. Before leaving, he did not forget to reply, by the way, I will continue to trouble you with errands tomorrow. This is the crisp response of Matsuzaka Sugar. She went downstairs and left while looking at Nangxiang. I can't help but feel a little worried. It's not like he was worried about Nangxiang and asked her when she would be able to pay back the money she borrowed. She never cared about that kind of thing. To be honest, it doesn't matter if I don't pay it back. What really worries her is that she only has 1 or 2,000 yen in her hand. If she had to run errands for Nangxiangxi, she felt that this amount of money might not be enough. On the rooftop, the pink-haired girl let out a small sigh. Memories flashed by. Then in Nangxiang's mind, the third memory scene also began to emerge. But this time, instead of communicating with Matsuzaka Sugar, Hideshoko took the initiative to come to talk to Nango. You asked Sutang to run errands and asked her to borrow money. Senior Nangxiang, are you going too far? When he looked at Nangxiang who was flipping through the novel in his hand, the blue-haired girl made a dissatisfied sound. As mentioned before, her name is Hideshoko, and she is a good friend of Matsuzaka Sato. Hideshoko actually knew about the interactions between Matsuzaka Sato and Nango Toki in the past few days. But considering that none of the parties involved, Matsuzaka Sugar, expressed any opinions towards Nangxiangxi. Naturally, she, a good friend and best friend, would not be able to comment on the relationship between the two. But recently, Nan Xiang's behavior has become more and more excessive. I heard that yesterday, Matsuzaka Sugar took away the part-time salary she just received from her part-time job. You must know that that is money earned by Matsuzaka Granu's hard work every day. It is the living expenses that the other party depends on for survival. As a result, Nangxiangxi took it away in such an understatement. Even Matsuzaka Sugar has to run errands these 2 days. No matter what, it's too much. Hideshoko was basically convinced. Nangxiangxi is definitely the kind of scumbag who makes his wife work hard while he plays small steel balls outside, idle and doing nothing. Sudan does like Senior, but Senior is too much. Hideshoko took another step forward, her beautiful and delicate face full of seriousness. For the sake of Sato's normal life in the future, please don't get close to Sato again in the future. Yes. As long as Nangxiang is no longer close to Matsuzaka Sugar, then the other party should be able to live a normal life. But normal life. Nan Xiang put the novel in his hand away while he was flipping through it. He turned to look at Hideshoko. Hide-san, what is normal life for Matsuzaka-san? Why? I heard Nan Xiang's words. The blue-haired girl who was originally speaking righteously was stunned. She really didn't expect that Nang Xiangxi in front of her would actually ask her such a question. But, of course, a normal life means eating well and drinking well. You don't have to be bossed around by Nang Xiang Sr., and you don't have to have a month's salary taken away unreasonably. This is called a normal life. Hideshoko reacted quickly and retorted sarcastically. Do you want to eat and drink well? Savoring Hideshoko's words, Nang Xiang held up his face. Black eyes looked over. These were a pair of very clean and beautiful eyes, but being looked at by such eyes made Hideshoko feel inexplicably stressed. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiu Dao Yu de Ziwei. Chapter 355. Don't know why. It was obvious that the Nang Xiangxi in front of him was just a peer of a similar age to himself. But it gave her an indescribable sense of oppression. But what's wrong? Did I say something wrong? Despite the scrutinizing gaze, Hideshoko spoke. She was right. Even as a senior, she was not willing to give in. Just when she was about to say something to fight back against Nan Xiang. But the other party shook his head at this moment. No, you said nothing wrong, Hida-san. It is exactly what you said. It is the most normal way of life to not be bullied by others and to eat well and drink well every day to maintain nutrition and health. Why? Regardless of other things, Nang Xiangxi's unexpectedly frank words surprised Hideshoko. She couldn't help but say, since Senior Nang Xiang knows, then why? Hida-san probably doesn't know. Nang Xiang waved his hand and interrupted Hideshoko's words. Matsusaka-san actually doesn't have the habit of eating properly at all. Because she lives alone, she usually just eats some liquid jelly to satisfy her hunger. Why? I asked her to run errands and buy a bento lunch just because she hadn't eaten properly, so it was just an excuse to let her eat with me. Nang Xiang looked at Hideshoko with a calm tone. Hideshoko wanted to say that Nango was lying. But looking at the other party's calm eyes without any impurities, the words that reached my lips could no longer be spoken. But soon, she seemed to have thought of something again, raised her head and continued. Even if that's the case, Nang Xiang-senpai was thinking about sugar, so he asked her to buy a bento, but Nang Xiang-senpai, if you ask her to borrow money, how should you explain this? Yes. Even convenient things can be explained by reasons. But there's no way to quibble about borrowing money, right? Nang Xiangxi had just taken away Matsuzaka Sugar's 150,000 part-time salary. This is unreasonable no matter how you think about it. Hideshoko thought about this, regained his confidence, raised his head and looked at Nango. In response to the other party's confident question, Nang Xiangxi shook his head. Hida-san, it seems you still don't quite understand. I did ask Matsuzaka-san to borrow her salary for this month, but what you don't know, Hida-san, is that due to her peaceful personality, for pure reasons, Matsuzaka-san often has some bad friends around her asking for money. Nango looked at Hideshoko and said, rather than having those friends who will never repay the money take it away directly, it would be better for me to borrow the money from Matsuzaka-san first. That's right. Matsuzaka Sugar has a very pure and peaceful personality. It's like a blank sheet of paper. It is precisely because of his pure and peaceful personality that he will not reject others. She was emotionally and spiritually deficient and probably couldn't realize that those people simply wanted to take away the money in her hands. So, in order to prevent this kind of thing, why don't I get the money? When he said this, Nango Toki stood up. Actually, even if Hida-san didn't say anything, I actually plan to return the money to Matsuzaka-san today. Hideshoko. She was speechless now. Because she really didn't expect that Nang Xiang would think so deeply about Matsuzaka Sugar. Everything before was actually her misunderstanding. An unspeakable feeling of guilt rose up in my heart. This made Hideshoko blush suddenly, and he hurriedly apologized to Nango Toki in front of him. I'm so sorry. Senior Nangxiang. My attitude was so bad just now, I'm so sorry. After figuring out what happened, she realized how rude her previous reaction was. She has always dared to act, dare to admit, and has a sincere temperament. She bowed repeatedly at this moment, fully displaying her craftsmanship spirit. In fact, Nangxiang didn't think too much about Hideshoko. After all, the other party is just worried about his friends, which is reasonable. So he just waved his hand and asked the other party not to continue to care. The misunderstanding was resolved. Hideshoko raised his head and sighed, "That's great to say, it turns out that Nango-senpai cares about Satu so much, he likes Satu, I can finally rest assured now." She sighed beside her. On the other side, Nangxiang she glanced at the other person's face silently and did not answer. "Do you like Matsuzaka Sugar?" Him. No. His current relationship with Matsuzaka Sugar is actually far more complicated than like or dislike. Just using such a light word, it is absolutely impossible to summarize the relationship between him and Matsuzaka Sugar. Chapter 253. You are all my wings. 2000 words. You know, the relationship between you and Matsuzaka Sugar is far more complicated than whether you like it or not. On the surface, it seems that you are bossing her around and asking her to help you deal with various problems. The two of you are in an absolute master-servant relationship. But in fact, this is evidence that the girl who lacks emotion relies on you through obedience. The number of days she spends with you at school has increased. As soon as get out of class is over, she will come to your side and will not leave until class begins. The boys in the class gritted their teeth at this. First, Akane Shinjo, who is second in grade, and then Chisuknishi Kiki and Takina Inu at the school festival. They envy why you are so popular with women, and they all seek advice from you. Some female students felt heartbroken after seeing this, because her beauty with pink hair made them feel ashamed of themselves. Even on some campus SNS, social networks, photos of the exchange between you and her appear. Everything looks so bright and beautiful. Even the members of the band that ended, Akane Shinjo, and Ryo Futaba all thought so. The pink-haired girl in front of you will become one of your captives just like them. Even when meeting Matsuzaka Satu in private, the girls would secretly call her sister. Among these girls, Nishiki Kishu, who has ordinary human intuition, and Yamada Ryo, who has a passionate love for you, are particularly sober at this time. With your help, Yamada Ryo, like other girls who ended the band, was admitted to the university of their choice. Nishikiki Chisuk also started doing what she wanted to do while working at Riko Riko. It was during this process that Ryo Yamada and Chisuk Nishiki realized that the relationship between you and the pink-haired girl was far from being as simple as it seemed. On the surface, it seems that Matsuzaka Granu is obeying your requests and being obedient to you, but in fact, the relationship is exactly the opposite. Matsuzaka Granus is actually the one asking for your help. Through the so-called master-servant form, you satisfy her act of conveying love and satisfy the other party's overflowing love behavior, which is a one-sided catharsis. They noticed Matsuzaka Sugar's extraordinary qualities, and also understood why you adopted a master-servant play approach towards Matsuzaka Sugar. In order to help you solve the problem, Yamada Ryo put down his posture for the first time and actively tried to communicate with Matsuzaka Granu, hoping to become friends with her and try to share the pressure on you. But obviously, she failed in the end. Matsuzaka Granu is not interested in anyone else except you. Even without your presence, there is a high probability that Matsuzaka Granu would still find Miss Yamada to be a hindrance and might take some measures against her. But you exist beside her, you are equivalent to her suppressor, you suppress all the extreme, pure, and unreasonable behaviors of Matsuzaka Sugar. Similarly, she will meet all your requirements. Even after you have made it clear that you will not be a lover with her, she still wants to stay by your side. For her, as long as she can have a place by your side, even if it is just a small piece of world, It seems to be enough. Ah. I didn't expect you to be such a Matsuzaka sugar. When Nangxiang saw this, he was stunned. What kind of dedicated and pleaser personality is this? Even if she doesn't become a lover with Matsuzaka sugar, is she still willing to stay by her side? Is this too? Nanxiangshi hissed and couldn't help but shake his head. Although he did change Matsuzaka sugar's character. But it felt like it was pulling her from one extreme to another. That's what's so difficult about a blank slate type of girl. I always think too hard and don't know what the so-called flexibility is. If you dye it red, it will be red, if you dye it black, it will be black. Why is it so difficult to get the target every time MS Simulator chooses? Nanxiangshi sighed, and then couldn't help but shake his head. At this point, it is meaningless to care about this kind of thing. Just keep reading. You didn't want her to become a marionette who only knew how to follow your footsteps, so you adopted various methods to reduce Matsuzaka Granu's love and dependence on you. But these methods have no effect without exception. A girl suffering from love deficit disorder only sees you. There is no other way, you have no choice but to comply with her wishes, let her stay by your side, and at the same time silently hope that her extreme love for you will be smoothed out over a long period of time. Time continues to pass backwards. You graduated from college and successfully entered a job in a large bank. Then I used my rich experience in working in a bank and the high-quality customers I had good relationships with to formally establish a company outside. You are 26 years old this year and will be 27 years old. Similarly, this also brings you to an age where you have to start thinking about one thing, getting married. If you had followed your plan in advance, you would probably have proposed to the band members who ended the band, the girl named Riko, Akane Shinjo, and Ryo Futaba without hesitation. But the reality is that there is something you have to face to face. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi Iway. Chapter 356. That is, after you entered college, Matsuzaka Sato also entered the same university as you. Her academic performance is average, and her academic talent is only at the level of an ordinary student. No one can know how much effort she put in to be admitted to the University of Tokyo like you. And all this is just because she wants to be by your side. Time has not dulled her passionate love for you, on the contrary, it has aggravated the feeling hidden in her heart. This is a dilemma. For this reason, you decide. 1. You are all my wings, I want them all, whether it's the ending band or Riko, or Akane Shinjo or Ryo Futaba. 2. Ignore Matsuzaka sugar and directly marry the ending band, Riko, Shinjo Akane, and Futaba Ryo. Partying is my favorite in one piece. 3. Embark on a happy life with Matsuzaka sugar. Long live pure love. 4. Simulate in person. 4 options suddenly appeared in front of Nangxiangshi. And if you just look at the content, even Nangxiangshi had to admit it. The content of each of these 4 options can be said to be extremely exciting. Chapter 254. She feels happy enough. 4,100 words. Except for the option of simulating it yourself. The remaining 3 major options can actually be said to be very pure. Option 1 is actually to have a harem and play with Matsuzaka sugar, so that she can also join in the party held in Nangxiang. The second option is to exclude Matsuzaka sugar and have a party with the girls from before. The content of option 3 is even simpler, just have a party with Matsuzaka Granu alone and not bring anyone else with you. The meaning of these 3 options is already very clear. But it's precisely because of this that it's a bit difficult to make a choice. It's a party with the girls. Or just have a party with Matsuzaka sugar. Or maybe bring some Matsuzaka sugar, and have a party together? Nangxiangshi thought for a while and then made his choice directly. He raised his hand and selected an option. Anyway, this simulation is just to understand Matsuzaka Granis's character and temperament. Nangxiangshi looked at the simulated options, touched his chin, and groaned. Yes. When he started simulating Matsuzaka Sugar, he just wanted to figure out Matsuzaka Sugar's character. It's just right to be able to figure out the route to a happy ending. But it doesn't matter even if you can't figure out the route to a happy ending. He still has the number of simulations left anyway. Enough to simulate Matsuzaka Sugar again. In this case, there is nothing to hesitate about. In order to understand Matsuzaka Sugar's character, it is natural to bring Matsuzaka Sugar together for a party in order to see clearly what this girl is thinking. Along with the choice in Nangxiang fell. The selection page in front of him rippled around like flowing water. Analog text also continues its downward evolution. Only children make choices, I want them all, whether it's the ending band or Rico Rico, or Akane Shinjo or Ryo Futaba, even Matsuzaka Sugar is within your attack range. There is nothing to hesitate at all. You are the real king of the harem. You proposed to the quartet that ended the band. You proposed to Rico Rico Double Girl. You proposed to Akane Shinjo and Ryo Futaba. You proposed to Matsuzaka Sugar. That's true. In real life, Nanxiangshi glanced sideways. Although in reality he did intend to do so. It can be seen that the self in the simulation actually initiated marriage proposals for so many girls at the same time. He still couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. It's really like myself in the simulation. If it were any other animated male protagonist, I'm afraid he would have tasted what it means to be a Shura field on the spot. After all, there are too many marriage partners. Nangxiangshi continued to look down. Proposing to so many people at the same time. Even if the girls have a good impression of you, this road is still very difficult. Although they do like you very much. Perhaps you are not an ordinary person who can make such a determination after experiencing many challenges and difficulties, you finally succeeded in gaining their recognition. Among them, Kita Ikuyo's parents who ended up in the band were very opposed to the wedding between you and her. But with Kita Ikuyo's serious request and confession, the two of them changed from their initial opposition to subsequent silence. The same goes for Futaba Ryo's parents, but similarly, because they worked outside for a long time and neglected to care about their daughter, when faced with their daughter's first request, they finally nodded helplessly and reluctantly acknowledged the relationship between. As time goes by, although they can't understand it now, they will definitely recognize the relationship between you in the end. The two biggest problems of Kita Ikuyo and Futaba Ryo have been solved. As for Shinjo Akane, Yamada Ryo, Nishiki Kishu, and Inu Takina, their problems are much simpler. Akane Shinjo had originally planned to leave the Shinjo family. Yamada's parents pampered their daughter at all times, and it was very easy for Nishiki Chisuke and Inu Takina to obtain the consent of the Rico Rico Mika store manager things. The wedding between you and them is almost decided in the blink of an eye. You turn your eyes to the remaining ones, Goto Kazuri and Matsuzaka Satu. You know the situation over there at Goto Ichiri very well. Goto's parents have always hoped that their autistic daughter can find a partner who can support her in moving forward. There is a high probability that they will eventually adopt a default attitude towards your existence. Then, the only thing left is Matsuzaka Sugar. This also makes you a little curious. Because you have never heard the pink-haired girl talk about her family since you met her, and you have also never heard her talk about her guardians, relatives, and friends. In order for the wedding to go smoothly, of course you did not hesitate to ask her questions about the guardian, hoping to visit her. Memories are like fish scales reflecting bright colors in the depths of my mind. Nangxiang subconsciously immersed his mind in the brilliance of this moment. The scene is on a long street. Pedestrians pass by on the streets. The setting sun is like an oil painting, dividing the scenery below into bright and dark parts in the oil painting. The sunset is shining from behind. It also reflects her beautiful face with pink hair under the sunset. The 26-year-old Matsuzaka Sugar is far more beautiful than she was in high school. Her hair was kept at waist length, and her delicate face was no longer childish, becoming mature and charming. Coupled with the plump yet slender body hidden under the clothes. Just walking on the road is enough to attract the attention of passers-by around you. But she turned a blind eye to all these looks. Those pink eyes were just staring at the black-haired young man walking in front. It was as if the figure of the black-haired young man stepping forward was her world. Granulated sugar. A clear voice sounded from the front. As soon as she heard this, her eyes flashed brightly, she hurried over and spoke in a low voice. "Senior Nangxiang, what can I do?" Her attitude was respectful. She doesn't look like the girl who was passionately in love with Nangxiang, but rather like the other person's maid. Regarding Matsuzaka Granu's attitude, Nangxiang couldn't help but shake his head. In fact, having known each other for such a long time, Matsuzaka Granu has already been able to call him by his first name. But even if he corrected him again and again, Matsuzaka Sato still kept his pace and called him Nango-senpai. It seems that for this pink-haired girl, this nickname is far more affectionate than the name he calls him. Over time, Nangxiang became accustomed to the other party's title. But this time Nangxiang didn't ask him to go out for a walk because of the issue of address. He raised his head and looked at the pink-haired girl standing next to him with a gentle smile, and then spoke. "Have you really decided? Are you sure you want to marry me, right?" There was almost no hesitation, just raising this question. Matsuzaka Sato over there already nodded in recognition. "Don't you regret it?" Nangxiang asked further. "After getting married, it's not like when you were a student, you can just mess around and get over it. Getting married is a major event that can affect your life." When he said this, he carefully looked at Matsuzaka Sato's expression in front of him. "There's nothing to regret." Matsuzaka Sato raised his face and showed the expression on his face to Nangxiang. She looked very calm, just like she had when Nangxiang knew her as a student. "Yes, after all, this is who you are." Nangxiang moved his eyes away from Matsuzaka Sato's face and continued to speak. "You still haven't figured out what love is, nor do you understand the meaning behind this word, nor your true thoughts in your heart. You are just following my footsteps meaninglessly to please me through your good impression of me. It's just me." No matter which girl next to him in Nangxiang heard these words. "I guess I feel uncomfortable inside." Because these words seemed to deny their love for Nangxiang. But Matsuzaka Sugar is different. She still kept a pure gentle smile on her face, and she reached out her hand and gently held Nangxiang's palm. "It's okay, Senior Nangxiang. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them." Author, Chiudeo Udazi. Chapter 357. A soft voice sounded. It was Senior Nangxiang who dragged me out of a life that was like a blank slate with nothing. Since I met you, my life that was like a zombie from childhood to high school has regained its luster. Before meeting Nangxiang, she lived simply to live, and had never felt the emotions of happiness and pain. She won't feel a sense of accomplishment just because she got good points in the exam. Likewise, you won't feel disappointed because your phone accidentally fell into the water. Seeing the pet he raised and who was very close to him die in front of him, he felt no fluctuation in his heart. The only thought she had was, it's dead, it's time to raise another one. She couldn't feel happiness or sadness, she just lived in a hazy state like a corpse. People need goals to live in this world. But she couldn't even find that goal. But since meeting Nangxiang, her boring life has changed. For the first time, she had the desire to own something. For the first time, I had the idea of wanting to be with someone. This is an extremely rare feeling for her who lacks emotions. It's like the whole world is completely different. So, even now I still don't know what love is, but it doesn't matter anymore. Matsuzaka Sato held Nangxiang's hand behind her back. There was a hint of fatigue in her usually peaceful expression. As long as I can be with Nangxiang Sr., that's enough. She has been pursuing the meaning of love for more than 20 years. But until now, I only have a hazy feeling in my heart. Even if she is very persistent in love. But on this road there is almost no end in sight. She was still tired. She now wishes to take a break. Just being by Nangxiang's side makes me satisfied. Even if she doesn't understand what love feels like, being able to stay by Nangxiang's side is enough to beat everything else for her. Seeing Matsuzaka Sato's expression, Nangxiang didn't say another word. When he was young, he thought he could influence this pink-haired girl with his influence. Let her gradually understand her inner feelings. And understand how to explain the word love. But in the end, Matsuzaka Sato, who experienced various emotions from him, failed to understand what love is. This is an indelible regret for both Nangxiang and Matsuzaka Sugar. Her life has always been incomplete. Thinking of this, Nangxiang spoke. In this case, Sugar, I will trouble you to lead the way this Saturday. I want to meet your guardian and tell him about our marriage. No need to bother. Matsuzaka Sato smiled and shook his head. Actually, I have informed her over there that she has agreed to the matter between us. Matsuzaka Sato's words made Nangxiang couldn't help but frown. Even if we agree to the matter between us, I should take the initiative to visit you, right? Yes. After all, he is just a junior. Various matters concerning the wedding with Matsuzaka Sugar also need to be communicated with the other party's guardian. No matter how you look at it, this request is very reasonable. But Matsuzaka Sato shook his head. No need, Senior Nangxiang, it's enough for you to arrange everything. When Nango heard this, he took a deep look at Matsuzaka Sato. Although in terms of expression and attitude, Matsuzaka Sugar remained as calm as ever. But he can feel it. The other person didn't seem to particularly want to see her guardian. This reminded Nangxiang that he had looked through the resume of Matsuzaka Sato's student before. The other party's guardian should be a woman named Matsusaka Sayuri. But it didn't matter whether it was the parent-teacher meeting or the three-way discussion held by the school in the third year of high school. The school, the students, and the students' parents jointly discuss the students' future path. This Matsuzaka Sayuri has never attended even once. Until now, this person who must have had a profound influence on Matsuzaka Sugar has been shrouded in fog and has never appeared in front of him. Nangxiang really wanted to ask Matsuzaka Sato to take him there to meet him. Similarly, he also knew that as long as he strongly requested it, Matsuzaka Granu would still follow his wishes and ideas and take him to see Matsusaka Sayuri obediently, no matter how unwilling he was. But Nangxiang looked at the expression of the pink-haired girl in front of him. Although it was just a smile, it didn't show much emotion. Nangxiang could understand, this was the first time a girl named Matsuzaka Sato expressed her unwillingness to him. This is the first, and perhaps even last, request from a girl. Under the sunset, Nangxiang finally did not force the other party. Matsusaka Granu spent his whole life pursuing the true meaning of love, but finally stopped. In this long-distance race to pursue her missing emotions, she was actually exhausted. The engagement you propose to her is both a safe haven and a sweet temptation for her who is exhausted. Although she still hasn't figured out the meaning of love, and there is an irreparable gap in her life because of this, she is happy enough to have you by her side. Chapter 255. Where the stars are 4,000 words. Looking at the text in the simulation, Nangxiang held his face and shook his head slightly. Some people may find it somewhat contradictory. Since she doesn't understand what love is, then why does Matsuzaka Granu still pester him and perform various behaviors similar to showing love to him? But in Nangxiang's eyes, this was perfectly normal. It is precisely because Matsuzaka lied that Tang did not understand what love was and how to express love. That's why she does so many things that are outrageous and beyond common sense. Originally, Nang Xiang thought that he in the simulation would be able to gain some reputation. Let Matsuzaka Sugar gain the emotion of love, thereby bringing the other person back on track. Result: it still failed. Nang Xiang sighed. But he in the simulation is not who he is in reality. So it's normal to be unable to settle things. Nang Xiangshi did not dwell on this issue, but continued to look down. The simulation has progressed to this point. Of course Nang Xiangshi is also obliged to witness the final outcome. The simulation continues. She didn't understand the meaning of love, nor did she know how to express her love through the correct means. These are probably the regrets she will carry with her from now on. But despite this, just staying by your side can make her feel the warmth she has never felt before. This is probably enough. Time continues to go back. Just as you expected. Matsusaka Sugar's guardian did not appear at the wedding. The only person who has a relationship with her and appears is her friend Hideshoko. Compared to other girls' interpersonal interactions and their relatives and families, she looked so lonely at the wedding. But Matsuzaka Sato didn't care when taking wedding photos. She was surrounded by girls, and she still had a gentle and peaceful smile on her face. You married them. The members of the ending band, the two Riko girls, Akane Shinjo, Ryo Futaba, and Sato Matsuzaka, will officially change their surnames to Nango from now on. With the sudden increase in the number of people in your family, as the head of the family, you will naturally feel pressure. But pressure is also motivation for you. You start working hard, and in just 2 years, you make your originally small company bigger. Even if you look at the whole of Tokyo, your company is somewhat famous. With your excellent talents and communication skills, you will have a smooth journey in business. Similarly, the smooth sailing in business also extends to your life. In the past 2 years, except for Nang Xiang Sugar, all other wives have become pregnant. Among them, Nang Xiang Ili and Nang Xiang Liang even gave birth to a daughter for you last year. You named their daughters Nango Notake and Nango Yuyuna. The addition of a new member to the family makes other wives a little envious. The joy of being a mother for the first time is something they want to experience but fail to experience. They love Nango Notake and Nango Yuna very much. And among those who love their daughters, Nang Xiang Sugar is not included. She is not biased against Nango Notake and Nango Yuna. On the contrary, as a girl, she is also very curious about her two little daughters. She wants to communicate with them, wants to be in contact with them. But in the end, she hesitated to retract her palm. Nang Xiang Sugar has no problem with your body not having children is actually what she asked for. She tells you that she has not yet figured out what love is, and she also does not know how to express her love. She is simply unable to educate her children as a qualified mother. Just seeing Nango Notake and Nango Yuyuna reminded her of her childhood. Without parents, she doesn't understand her own emotions, let alone what kind of behavior she should use to express her love for her children. The reason for not having contact with Nango Yuna and Nango Notake is because she does not want her two children to be affected by an emotionally lacking woman like her. So, every time when she sees Nango Notake and Nango Yuyuna hugging and playing with your other wives, she always stops with great envy. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi Iway. Chapter 358. Only when you actively ask Nango Notake and Nango Yuna to get close to her, she will smile as pure as a child and stroke their heads gently and extremely carefully. In life, she is not silent like Nang Xiang Ili, nor is she noisy like Nang Xiang Kinchu. She just watches you all the time and will be there when you need her. In order to make up for the regrets about the child, Nang Xiang Sugar is extremely active in her nighttime relationship with you, and even actively asks you to be rough with her. It doesn't matter. You were not as rough with her as she said, but you protected her silently. After all, She is also one of your wives. In order to solve her emotional deficiencies, you have specially found several famous psychologists, hoping to help her get out of the shadow of childhood. But all these actions failed. The only person she has been watching from the beginning to the end is you. Similarly, only you can have an impact on her. She is still by your side as usual, meekly obeying all your requests. She also often tells you that she is very satisfied just like this. But you, who have been with her for so many years, understand. Every time she said such words, there was always unspeakable regret in her pink eyes. She wants to love you in a way that only belongs to her, but she has never been able to find a suitable way to express love. This is undoubtedly the cruelest thing for her. Simulating. Fragments of memory began to fall apart. Senior Nangxiang, you shouldn't marry me. Night falls. The pink-haired girl was lying on the bed, muttering to herself in an almost calm voice. You're talking stupid again. Nan Xiangxi looked at his wife's side face looking out the window and lovingly stroked her face with his palms. And weren't you shameless enough to want to marry me at that time? Are you trying to be shameless now? It's too late. I was too immature at that time. Nangxiang Sugar whispered to herself, it wasn't until after I got married that I realized that I couldn't bring anything to Senior Nangxiang. The way I love you, the emotion you love me with, I can't figure it out at all. She turned her head sharply. It was only then that Nangxiang noticed the tears on his wife's face. Under the night light, the teardrops were crystal clear. I thought that as long as I got close to Nangxiang Seniors, I could do something for Nangxiang Seniors, but it wasn't until I came into contact with them that I discovered that they can do much more than me. Nangxiang Sugar noticed. Compared to myself who doesn't even know how to express her love, Nango Ichiri and Nango Ryo are far more perfect than me. At least they were able to express to Nan Xiangxi their love for him that was like a surging river. And for her who didn't know how to express her feelings, just watching from the sidelines made her feel extremely tortured. In response, Nan Xiangxi said nothing, but reached out to brush away the tears from the corners of his wife's eyes. Nangxiang Sugar tilted her head to one side. Only your smooth back was exposed to him. The air in the room was silent for a while. Then Nangxiang heard her voice. Sure enough, it's time to free Senior Nangxiang from my hands, right? When her pink eyes looked at Nangxiang, they were like stars covered by dark clouds, dim and dull, and her voice was subtle but filled with painful emotions for the first time. Regarding her monologue, Nan Xiangxi just stretched out his hand and hugged her tightly. I don't agree. He stroked his wife's smooth back. After living the life of an old married couple for so long, my body has long become unable to leave your body. I don't want to be responsible for turning me into this state. Still want to evade fares? Do you think it's possible? He lowered his head, and then pointed to the two bright morning stars shining brightly under the dark night outside the window. The two morning stars shone brightly. It's like two lighthouses in the night sky, flickering hard, trying to get the other person to notice their frequency. In fact, just like stars, as long as they continue to shine with their own bright colors, even people who are not close to each other can actually understand each other and get closer to each other. He gathered the pink-haired girl's hair lovingly. Sutang, as long as you do this, you will definitely understand how to express love in the future, just like how I feel for you now. Your gentle words are like crushed golden sugar in the night sky. The sweet sugar liquid seeps into her heart, and the syrup forms a protective film for her. With your persuasion, she temporarily let go of her inner depression. Would you like to put it down for now? In reality, Nan Xiangxi sighed and poked at the simulation page in front of him. Originally, Matsuzaka Sugar had serious psychological problems. As a result, it now appears that his interactions with the girls may actually aggravate their psychological problems. After all, in such an environment, everyone else is living a happy life, but she is the only one who looks like an outsider, out of place. No matter how you think about it, this will aggravate her psychological problems, right? Keep looking down. Time is selfless and ruthless. It does not extend for happy people, nor does it shorten for painful people. Another 2 years have passed. Except Nangxiang Ili and Nangxiang Liang, your other wives also gave birth to daughters one after another, and they soon reached the age where their daughters could run and walk. Only Nangxiang Sugar, who is still confused about the future, still has not given birth to an heir with you. She envies their expressions of love for you. I hate myself for being so confused and at a loss. She was very entangled in her heart, and the entanglement led to depression and stress. Under such heavy pressure from the inner and outer environment, Nangxiang Sugar's condition worsened day by day, and in the end he fell seriously ill. This is not a serious illness. But the treatment of mental illness is far more complicated than physical illness. Although he recovered quickly and was discharged from the hospital, Nangxiang Sugar's face became more and more haggard day by day. During this period, if you want to improve her mental state, even moving out with her and cultivating yourself away from the children will not help. She is indeed getting weaker at an extremely slow rate. Senior Nangxiang, have you ever loved me? I loved you before, and I still love you now. Nangxiang Shi gently stroked the side of Nangxiang Sutang's face on the bed. Really? But I'm sorry, Nangxiang Senpai. Lying on the quilt, she blinked her pink eyes and reached out to touch the side of Nangxiang's face. I'm really too stupid, I don't understand Senior Nangxiang's love at all, but... She looked towards the empty ceiling. He showed his usual gentle smile. Well. Since Senior Nangxiang said so, then he must love me very much. Leaning on the hospital bed, she murmured to herself, Senior Nangxiang, do you still remember what you told me about those 2 stars that day? Yeah. Of course I remember. Nangxiangshi nodded. She told you that on the day you said that as long as 2 stars strive to shine with the same frequency, they can get close to each other and understand each other's intentions. She then secretly found an opportunity to check on the situation of the 2 stars you mentioned. Those are not actually stars, just 2 lights in an ordinary B/U0026b. Looking from the night sky, it looks like little stars. It's just 2 parallel lights. No matter how much they move or how hard they try, they can't cross the parallel distance in the middle. But she didn't tell you this. Because she never understood how to fall in love with others, nor how others would express their love for her. But just by hearing your words, she will choose to believe them unconditionally. She believes that the kind of stars you mentioned do exist in this world. As long as it keeps emitting the bright color with the same frequency. One day, even 2 different hearts can close the distance between each other. She thought, that feeling might also be an expression of love, right? Nangxiang Sugar died 1 month after her 46th birthday. You have been with her for 5 years. And that was the day when Tokyo had just entered the severe winter. She was already weak and could not survive the sudden temperature change in Tokyo. Did she understand the meaning of love when she died? You don't understand this. Just raise your head occasionally, and you will find a red star shining with gentle and bright colors in the night sky above your head. In the night sky, the lonely red star exudes soft light. As if looking for stars with wavelengths and frequencies similar to hers. Simulation ends. Chapter 256. Yandere is unexpectedly easy to deal with. 4,000 words. Simulation ends. When he saw this line of words, Nangxiangshi couldn't help but shake his head. The so-called Yandere girl is actually a love-deficient girl. And it was his first time to meet a girl like Matsuzaka Sato. He closed his eyes. Before Matsuzaka Sato died, the unspeakable regret in his eyes was something he could feel in reality. The girl Kyoji has only wanted to understand the meaning of love throughout her life. But until his death, he still didn't understand the meaning of the word love, let alone how to express love to the person he liked. Regret. There will definitely be regrets. But not even words of regret were expressed. The girl who was quiet and peaceful, as pure as water, and who lived like a zombie passed away. She passed away at the age when she should be most happy. Nan Xiangxi shook his head and continued to look down. After the simulation is over, there is a customary simulation evaluation. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiu Dao Yu de Zi Wei. Chapter 359. System Evaluation, 82 points. System Evaluation. Love is dependent on you, love is hazy, the stars are hanging in the sky, they are also hanging in your heart. The heavy rain washed away everything, leaving only puddles on the ground that reflected the color of the sky, and she is like a puddle left on the ground. Her empty heart is filled with pure water. How you reflect her is how she looks. Your encounter with her was a complete accident. She fell in love with you at first sight, and was captured by your magical smile at just one glance, unable to extricate herself. Your smile is like a drop of thick ink, dripping into her pure heart and disrupting her life. From birth to high school, she has never received such strong emotional stimulation. For the first time, she has desire. She tries hard and clumsily to express her love to you, even if she doesn't even know what love means. You see this clearly and want to change her through your own influence. But as time flies, she has no way to vent her desire. Whenever she sees other wives interacting with you, talking and laughing with you, she will always look at you with particularly envious eyes. Kong has a lot of love but doesn't know how to express love, nor what is the behavior of expressing love. This is an invisible torture to her spirit and body. You tell her that as long as you work hard to emit strobe lights in the same way, you can understand each other's thoughts even if they are different. She firmly believed in this and tried hard. But due to the long-term mental burden, the pink-haired girl eventually turned into a star in the sky. She loves you deeply. You also pity her, especially when the elegant red star hangs in the night sky. Do you still think of that innocent girl who was obsessed with your smile? System prompt: you have gained a small amount of business experience. 82 points. Nang Xiangxi was a little surprised when he saw this score. It's not that I think the simulation score this time is relatively low. But he felt that the simulation score this time was much higher than he imagined. You must know that after reading the system evaluation, he thought that the simulation score this time must be 40 or 50 points, and at most he would pass 60 or 70 points. After all, Nang Xiangxi did not go out of his way to choose the correct option in this simulation like the previous simulations. All the choices he made were made to understand Matsuzaka Sato's background and personality. This is the so-called purposeful choice, without deliberately pursuing a happy ending. But even so, the simulation with Matsuzaka Sugar still scored 82 points, and there was only an 8-point gap between the happy ending. This is naturally surprising. But think about it the other way around. Simulation scores are largely based on Matsuzaka Sugar's happiness. Does this mean, Matsuzaka Granu is still quite happy after marrying me? Nan Xiang held up his face. Although judging from his eyes, Matsuzaka Sugar probably did not live a happy life after entering the marriage period. Always walking alone. Watching the interaction between his other wives and children, he was envious but at a loss. In the end, he passed away full of regret. The only thing that made her talk about it was the setting of happiness. That is, she has always been by Nang Xiang's side. But, this level, can it be called happiness? Nang Xiang rubbed his temples. I can't keep his love to myself. I was worried about the child's mood, so I didn't give birth to the child. The only thing he did was to accompany him when he was in Nangxiang. This seems to be indescribable happiness for the pink-haired girl who is lack of love. This is really. When I think of Nangxiang here, I really don't know how to describe this pink-haired girl. After a while, Nangxiang she couldn't help but sigh. Are all yanderis in reality so stupid? What a fool. Just being by his side makes you feel happy? Even if you end up regretfully lying on the bed and passing away, you will have no regrets? Because she has already found happiness. What the hell is this? Just thinking about this made Nang Xiang feel a little uncomfortable. But if you want me to soften my heart, then you are overthinking it. Nang Xiang turned his head and looked out the window while sitting in his seat. He never considered himself a good person. Just because of what happened in the simulation, do you want him to be helpful to Matsuzaka Sugar? That's simply impossible. After all, that is just what happened in the simulation and has nothing to do with the real world. Matsuzaka Sugar in the simulation was indeed infatuated with him, but that was just a simulation. For him or the girl, what happened in the simulation was just a dream. He wouldn't take the initiative to get in touch with Matsuzaka Satu, a difficult and extremely troublesome girl, just because of what happened in the simulation. You must know that he finally refused the other party's invitation to dine. So Nang Xiang she has already decided at this time. Let go of the need to help others. Respect the fate of others. He is not a soft-hearted bad guy. That's right. Staring at the dark weather outside the window, Nang Xiangxi thought this way and made up his mind. One day of classes at Oka High School is not too much. But around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the school bell had already rang. But it's different from usual. A big hole opened in the dark sky. A black rain curtain also fell from it. Compared to yesterday's weather, today's freezing rain is even worse. I guess it won't be long before the temperature in Tokyo will plummet due to freezing rain, right? The students of Oka High School took out their umbrellas from the umbrella storage area at the door, and then walked towards the station not far away. No one wants to stay in such bad weather. But except for one person. A pink-haired girl stood silently behind the telephone pole despite the downpour. Unlike the other Oka High School students who were eager to get into the station to take shelter from the rain, Matsuzaka Satu did not hold an umbrella, but took advantage of the black rain screen to hide behind the telephone pole at the corner of the street. The uniform he was wearing was soaked, and his palms turned red from the cold air. But those pink eyes were still shining brightly. His body was even more motionless, his eyes staring at the entrance and exit of the school, showing no intention of relaxing. Control your breathing. Hide your figure. Followed in silence. These were all the methods that she could find that did not rely on props in the 108 methods of typing that she searched on the internet at noon. In particular, it is mentioned in the 108 methods of tailing. As long as you master these several methods of tailing that do not rely on props, even a novice who has just entered the world of tailing can have the power not to be discovered by others. Tail rowing ability. This line of words shocked Matsuzaka Satu on the spot, and he even studied it hard all afternoon. Now, she can be regarded as a person with extremely rich theoretical knowledge. And according to that book, she should be hiding well now. Relying on natural heavy rain as a barrier. Hiding in a corner that is difficult for ordinary people to find. Control your breathing and make sure your eyes don't collide with other people's. She had taken what she learned in one afternoon and pushed it to the limit. Even in Nang Xiang, it is absolutely impossible to find her hidden in the rain curtain. Snapped. It hurts. The pink-haired girl who had been sticking half of her head out to observe the school gate was suddenly patted on the back of her head. This made her cry out in pain, and subconsciously reached out to touch her head. At the same time, an angry and funny voice came from behind her. "What are you doing? Matsuzaka-san." "Why?" Matsuzaka Satu's face, which always had a peaceful smile, now had a slightly frozen expression. She couldn't help but open her mouth. "Senior Nang Xiang? Why?" "Yes." "Why?" She was obviously following the method in the book, the 108 methods of tail walking, to control her aura, right? Why was Nang Xiang still aware that he was here? She couldn't understand it. The look on his face was equivalent to that of Matsuzaka Sugar. Nang Xiangxi was angry and funny. What, why? His voice paused. Originally, your pink hair is eye-catching enough without an umbrella on a rainy day, and then you still stick out half of your head under the telephone pole. Is it possible that you are afraid that I won't find you? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi. Chapter 360. Matsuzaka Sugar. Matsusaka Granis opened her mouth. Been deceived. That book, The 108 Methods of the End line, is simply a lie. The so-called ability to hide one's own existence. Turning a newbie into a master is simply a complete scam. Didn't he catch her directly when he was in Nangxiang? Although the pink-haired girl's expression was still calm and could not see much fluctuation, her expression was indeed stiff. Because she really didn't expect it? But on the first day of carrying out the operation, Nang Xiangxi caught him red-handed. So, which drama are you acting in? Nang Xiangxi glanced at her and deliberately asked. In fact, through the simulation, he knew that Matsuzaka Sugar was ready to follow him today. Even in the simulation, he knew it would rain today. I wonder if Matsuzaka Sugar will come up with flowers in this heavy rain weather. So he deliberately did not leave through the front door, but climbed over the school's low fence from the back to leave the school. Sure enough, Matsuzaka Sugar was discovered here. When faced with Nang Xiang's questions, Matsuzaka Sugar didn't hesitate much. He just blinked his pink eyes and spoke. I was thinking that since Senior Nang Xiang doesn't want to go to dinner with me, then there should be no problem if I wait outside for Senior Nang Xiang to come out and follow him, right? What a big problem. Nang Xiangxi was speechless and choked. Matsuzaka-san, do you know that stalking others is against the law? No. The pink-haired girl nodded calmly. The wet pink hair stuck to her forehead and chest, giving her an indescribable sense of charm. Then why do you still want to follow others? As long as it's not discovered, there's no problem. After thinking carefully, the pink-haired girl answered Nang Xiang with a serious expression. So the problem is that I have discovered you, Matsuzaka-san. I'm sorry, Nang Xiang-senpai. After a moment of silence, Matsuzaka-sato showed a peaceful smile, lowered his head and apologized. I didn't hear any sincerity in your tone. Matsuzaka-san. Looking at her calm expression, there was not even the slightest wave of emotion on her face. Nang Xiangxi couldn't help but reach out and pinch Matsuzaka-sato's delicate and lovely cheeks and pull them to both sides. I'm sorry, do ye? He continued to apologize incoherently. Nang Xiangxi. Looking at Matsuzaka-sato, who still didn't show much expression. Nang Xiangxi also shook his head. He knows. Matsuzaka Sugar is still at the stage of being a blank piece of paper. Neither joy nor sorrow is known. Venting your inner emotions to her like this is of no use. And it's still raining so hard now. Nang Xiang didn't want to send this pink-haired girl to the clinic again. So simply, he took out another umbrella from his shoulder bag and handed it to Matsuzaka Granu. Here you go, use it first. Ah, no need, I have an umbrella. Matsuzaka Sato waved his hand and took out a pink folding umbrella from his student shoulder bag. Ah! Nang Xiangxi couldn't help but take another look at Matsuzaka Sugar. Then why don't you hold an umbrella? Because I didn't want to be noticed by Senior Nang Xiang, I didn't hold an umbrella. Matsuzaka Sato opened her umbrella and answered. In her opinion, following someone with an umbrella open in the heavy rain may be a more conspicuous thing. In order to avoid attracting Nang Xiangxi's attention, she did not hold an umbrella. Listening to Matsuzaka Sato's explanation, he felt the pink-haired girl looking up at him with her face raised, and looking at her body that was already trembling with cold as she stood in the rain. Nangxiang was silent for a while. Then he finally couldn't hold back and spoke. Matsusaka-san. Are you stupid? Yes. Was Matsuzaka Sato such a silly and naive person? Or are yanderis always so silly in front of the people they like? Chapter 257. The innocent girl entertains the Nangxiang succubus. 4,000 words. Walking down the street with Matsuzaka sugar is more or less eye-catching. The reason is also very simple. Anyone sees a boy with a girl who is wet all over and has a delicate and cute appearance. I guess everyone is a little curious about what this boy and girl did. Naturally, I could feel the gazes from around me when I was in Nangxiang. But he didn't care. After all, there are times when Matsuzaka sugar is not by his side. When he was walking on the road, some little girls looked at him with such expressions. He was relatively used to these gazes. He held the umbrella and continued walking forward without caring. But it was this action that made Matsuzaka sugar feel a little confused. Because she remembers it. Nangxiang she had said before that he had something to deal with in the afternoon. But even now, he still has no intention of leaving. This made Matsuzaka Sato turn his head and ask, "Senior Nango, don't you still have things to deal with?" "There is something to deal with." Nangxiang she did not deny Matsuzaka Granu's words, but nodded in acknowledgement. "Then why?" Matsuzaka Sato raised his head and looked at Nangxiang with his pink eyes in confusion. "You're already soaked like this. Of course I have to take you home first, right?" Nangxiangshi in front of him turned his gaze to the other side and said in a calm voice, "You can't let me watch you go home alone in the rain, can you? Have you forgotten what happened yesterday when you fainted alone?" "Yeah." Matsuzaka Granu nodded and did not continue to ask. After all, the reason given by the other party was very convincing, and she did faint because of anemia yesterday. And more importantly. Matsuzaka Sato lowered his head and breathed into his hands, which were red from the cold. "It's better if the other party doesn't mention it." She felt the coldness coming from her body at the mention of it. "The palms of my hands were so cold that they felt tingling and painful. It's indeed a bit cold." She put the umbrella on her shoulders, trying to rub her palms together to generate heat. But her palm had only just been raised. It was already gently held by the palm stretched out from the side. "Senior Nangxiang." Matsuzaka Sato tilted her head and looked at Nangxiang strangely. "Help warm your hands." Nangxiang she spoke. "Yeah." Matsuzaka Sato subconsciously looked at Nangxiang's palm. She who doesn't know how to express love can't understand such behavior. Because the temperature of her palm is actually very low. She didn't think that Nangxiangshi could warm her up just by reaching out and holding her palm. After all, human body temperature is limited. Unlike a stove in the middle of winter, it can continuously provide heat. Matsuzaka sugar thought this way. However. Why? Matsuzaka's sugar pink eyes shone with surprise as she looked at the hand that Nangxiang was holding. "Do not know why." He just made the gesture of holding hands. Matsuzaka Granis gradually developed an indescribable feeling in her heart. My love simulation with them. Author, Chiudeo Udazi. Chapter 361. An astonishing amount of heat first spread from the palm of his hand. Then it appeared on her face that always had a peaceful smile. A blush appeared on her fair face. It even gave her an inexplicable burning feeling. What happened? Matsuzaka Granu couldn't understand it at all. It was obviously just a simple gesture of holding hands. Why do you feel this way in your heart? You must know that when doing group dances in the past, there were situations where I shook hands with other people. But she didn't feel anything at that time. I didn't feel anything, and there was no fluctuation in my heart. But now, an indescribable warmth. It was as if the warmth that could dispel the coldness in his limbs, was rising up. It seemed like someone had cracked open the jar of Jin Ping Tang. Little bits of candy melt. The sweet syrup moistens the chest. But he obviously just held hands with Nang Xiangxi. Why do you feel this way? A girl with an emotionless disorder cannot understand this phenomenon. She stopped and held her chest. The young man turned his eyes and asked, "What's wrong?" "Ah, that." Even Matsuzaka Sugar doesn't know why. Her state of mind has always been calm and unruffled since childhood. At this moment, for the first time, I felt a surge of emotion. Even his speech lost its usual calm and quiet tone. I don't know why, Senior Nangxiang's palms are so hot. Matsuzaka Sato raised his head and looked at Nangxiangshi. Yes. So hot. It's really hot. It was obviously just ordinary skin contact, but I had never felt anything like this before. But the chest, especially the position around the heart. It was like someone had lit a flame. The feeling of warmth overwhelmed her heart, which had always been cold. She didn't know how to describe this feeling, so she could only express her thoughts awkwardly. Matsuzaka Sato was clumsy and hesitant to express his inner feelings. Nang Xiangxi felt a little sigh in his heart. Just like in simulation. Matsuzaka Granu doesn't understand what love means. I don't even understand how others and myself express love. It was the first time that she came into contact with the emotions in her own heart and the emotions of others, no wonder she showed such an expression. He thought so, and then said, "Then let go." Nangxiang originally thought that the helpless Matsuzaka Sato would nod in agreement with his proposal. But no. Matsuzaka Granu didn't even hesitate for a second, and even gently squeezed Nangxiangshi's hand. Not sure if it was an illusion, but Nangxiang felt that her face became more rosy. Hold on for a little while longer. Nangxiang senpai. If it had been her before, she might have let go of Nangxiangshi's hand without hesitation. But now, having already tasted the warmth, she felt vaguely reluctant to let go. Yet, under the watchful eyes of Matsuzaka Sugar, Nangxiangshi did not continue to mention letting go. Matsuzaka Sato breathed a long sigh of relief and stared at the other person secretly with her pink eyes. His body was obviously still cold. You can still feel the chill from the outside world. But I don't know why. Warmth rising in chest. But it can dispel all the coldness from the outside world. Matsuzaka Sato's home is different from the one she had when she had to take a special bus to Nango from Shimokitazawa Station. Her home is just over 10 minutes away from Oka High School. It's equivalent to walking through the long commercial street and then walking 2 steps into the residential area to find the place. This is it. He narrowed his eyes when looking at Nangxiang, the residential apartment building in front of him. The place where Matsuzaka Sato lives is a simple and ordinary residential apartment building. Looking over from him, it was about a dozen floors high. But this is the place. The self in the simulation wants to visit again and again. But all of them were ignored by Matsuzaka Granu for various reasons. The self in the simulation also respected Matsuzaka Granu's wishes very much. After knowing what she was thinking, he never forced to visit her home again. Even after marriage. Matsuzaka Granu has never been to this place again. But I'm different. Nangxiang touched his chin. He knew that the big reason why Matsuzaka Granu didn't want him to come here was because of her guardian Matsuzaka Sayuri. That character clearly had a profound impact on Matsuzaka Sato's life, but he didn't appear even once in the simulation. Even at the end. Matsuzaka Granis passed away due to illness. Her guardian, Sayuri Matsuzaka, also did not show up. Everything about the other party was hidden by Matsuzaka Granu. Of course, Nangxiangshi took the initiative to contact Matsuzaka Sugar this time, not just because he wanted to send Matsuzaka Sugar home. He actually wanted to meet Sayuri Matsuzaka, whom he had never met before. Just being able to communicate with the other person. he can probably understand the reason for Matsuzaka Sugar's lack of emotion. In this way, we can find the source and cure Matsuzaka Sugar's inner disease. So, the next steps to take are simple. Nangxiang turned his head and looked at Matsuzaka Satu. At this time, the pink-haired girl had already put away the folding umbrella in her hand, and even raised her head and said, "Senior Nangxiang, this is it. I can go up the rest of the way alone." "That's right, we're already downstairs in the apartment. She can walk the next road alone." "But I've already sent you here, why don't you invite me to come up and sit for a while?" Nan Xiangxi didn't hesitate, stepped forward and asked. "Why?" Matsuzaka Sato raised his head, his beautiful eyebrows slightly wrinkled, and his voice was a little hesitant, "But, Nangxiang Senior, there is a bit of chaos at home." "That's the reaction." Nangxiang felt the hesitation of Matsuzaka Sato, and without hesitation, he continued to take a step forward, and at the same time wiped the rain on his umbrella. "It's okay if it's a little messy, I don't mind, and it's still raining so hard now, Matsuzaka-san won't drive me away, right?" Matsuzaka Sato was silent. Because Nangxiangxi's words are reasonable and reasonable when analyzed from any angle. When he was sent home by Nangxiangxi, not only did he not entertain him, he also drove him away. No matter how you think about it, this is a bit inappropriate. But thinking of that person at home. Matsuzaka Sato's beautiful eyebrows wrinkled tighter and tighter. "Speaking of which, I'm a little hungry too." Nangxiangxi didn't care and continued, "Why don't you go up and treat me to something to eat? If you want to eat, I can go up and change clothes and take Nangxiang Senpai to a famous restaurant nearby." Matsuzaka Sato shook his head, still wanting to refuse. "Isn't it just that you still don't give in to this level?" Feeling Matsuzaka Granu's inner stubbornness, Nangxiangxi raised his eyebrows. Now he finally knew why he in the simulation did not force Matsuzaka Granu to take him to meet Matsuzaka Sayuri. You must have been swayed by Matsuzaka Granu's attitude, right? I feel that there is really no need to force her. But I personally feel that the food prepared by Matsuzaka-san can better express gratitude than the standard food produced in the restaurant.